Welcome, fight
Ah,
fans, to episode 101 of the Hooks In MMA podcast. We're past the century mark, and we've got an exciting episode today because we have Lock Dog, the most exciting bantamweight in the world, joining us. He's coming off of a huge win at UFC 303 over Ricky Simone. And so thank you, Lock Dog, for joining us from Brazil. We're gonna, ask some questions, see what's up with you in your career, and really excited to see your success so far in the UFC. Zoni, kick things off and we'll jump right in.
Yeah, so Lock Dog, we've been following you for a while. We had big things on the docket for watching you and seeing where your growth would be. My question's just with regards to your huge third round flying knee finish, and then fighting a top 15 guy like Ricky Simone. The takedowns in your second last fight, I saw those and was a little bit worried, not too much because I knew you were going to pull through, but a little bit worried just with the way Ricky Simone fights. And I just wanted to ask you about your growth between those two fights and how you're able to work on that takedown defense and win that unanimous decision.
well, I've been training like in my takedown defense for a long time since when I started in martial arts because when I started martial arts, I was just boxing and Muay Thai. So in order to get into the MMA, I need to train jiu-jitsu and wrestling and grappling. So I'm training so hard for this takedown defense. And when I fight against Bernardo Sopao, my first fight in UFC, I wasn't prepared for this fight because my opponent has changed three times.
Hmm.
I was supposed to fight against a guys who likes to fight stand, then change my fight. The guys who like to fight on the ground, then change again, and at least coming Bernardo Sopai, that I wasn't prepared to fight on the ground. My game plan was just fight stand, like knocking him down. So then when I moved to fight against what's the name of the guy that I fought the last time? Rick Simon. Rick Simon. I trained so hard. I trained 2 months just to just to don't be put on the ground. Just my technique defense. I was moving at the gym. I asked for some guys to special guys to help me. What can I do this technical defense? And my coach brings some guys strong on wrestling, on jiu-jitsu, on judo to help me to fight against this guy. So I knew everything these guys want to try to do against me. And he just have a wrestling. He doesn't have a punch, a kick, a elbow, nothing. He will just try to put me on the ground. So I was prepared for this moment. I knew that I was going that fight, but not that way. I thought I thought that I was going this fight by TKO and not by point. So it was a surprise to me. But I got really happy because I can't put my game plan on the game. I will not I wasn't going on the ground. I just keep a stand and I can take it and I can do my defense and I was able to put him on the ground. And in the end, I did a different style of kicking. I don't know how to say it is English, but like Ronaldinho Gaúcho, the soccer player that I did in the last seconds on the fight, then it make the audience shock, scream to me. So it was amazing, man.
Yeah, and like that kind of leads me to my next question. Obviously, nothing officially announced, but you're climbing the ranks here, and your skills are almost as good as your English right now, where it's come from. So you just keep growing, just as not only a mixed martial artist, but a human being. So what do you foresee next happening here? Because you got to get somebody, in the top 12, top 10 here.
I mean, I'm totally sure I'm ready to fight for the belt right now, but I don't know how gonna be my next step. I'd like to fight against Umar Nurmagomedov. He's a guy that I got some tweet on Instagram on social media. I talk bad things to him. He told bad things to me as well. So when I saw him in UFCPI, we are almost became a friends because he asked me some questions about my weight, about my training. So when I come to Brazil, I got to know that he got without opponent to fight. So I want to fight against him. So I start to send him a bad messages. and he replied me like he got angry with me. So it's a guy that would like so much to fight. But I'm thinking now that I'm gonna fight on February. A guy Said Nurmagomedov. I don't know why. Maybe the social media are talking about that. I saw that last week on Instagram a photo about me and Said Nurmagomedov on February in Arabia Saudita. I don't know how can I say Arabia Saudita, Saudi Arabic. I think yeah, I think so. So I'm thinking I'm gonna fight against these guys, but I would like so much to fight against Umar Nurmagomedov, and of course fight against the guys who are in the belt.
Fantastic. I would love to see that. We would love to see that matchup. Zeman or Kronz, do you have a follow-up here?
Yeah, just back to the first question. You were talking about the different disciplines, right? Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, striking. What's your favorite? What do you like the most? What's the most fun to train and to learn? And why is that? Like what is it that you like so much about one of those disciplines?
I prefer boxing Muay Thai because I like so much to hurt people, to hurt my opponents, only my opponents. But I like to learn about wrestling and jiu-jitsu. There are many things to learn about wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Each day, my coach bring a different position. Ours a different position. So I'm really excited to learn more about wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But I prefer fight tandem like boxing, Muay Thai because I like to hurt my opponents, all my opponents.
Well, as a fan,
Smash.
we love watching that as well. Kickboxing, Muay Thai. So very exciting. Yeah, Z-Balls, over to you.
Yeah, and Vinicius, thanks again for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And that was kind of leading into one of my questions as well. You know, with you being such an experienced fighter, professionally over fighting professionally over 10 years now, you've obviously seen a lot of growth in the sport of MMA. Where do you really see kind of the sport of MMA evolving in the next 5 years, and whether it be with technique or different styles, or maybe even the business or promotion side? And what's something you really wish people understood more about the world of MMA as well?
I'd like the people understand that martial arts and MMA is not a fight. It's just to train your mind, your body, and keep you safe and healthy because beside martial arts is aggressive, you can defend yourself on the streets, on the life, because the life is really dangerous. But MMA fight in sí is an education, is like a school. So uh, to me, my opinion, I'd like so much every kids starting in martial arts to grow up like a man, to grow up like a people, to grow up like a woman. It's very special in life. I think martial arts learn more than at school.
Absolutely. No, that totally makes sense. And it's a bit counterintuitive, right? People take a look at MMA and think it's such a violent or brutal sport, but really the advantages in terms of your mental training are really like I said, the advantages of that type of training and learning is one of the best things in life. So yeah, definitely understand. And thanks for your answer.
I would just like to ask you, I know you want the belt and you're going to get there, but just who would be like a dream matchup if you had like a number one contender matchup? Who would the dream matchup be within at 135?
I have no clue. Maybe now who is the belt? Who have the belt right now is Merab Deravish. But I'm saw his fight, and I'm totally understand he's a good wrestler, but he doesn't have nothing to offer me. I'm better than these guys on the stand, on the ground, in every position inside the cage. So, but I'm think he won't stand the belt for a long time. I think the next guys who fight against him will take the belt off.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of someone, maybe striker or bantamweight, maybe like Mario Batista or something like that. Could that
Mauro
be?
Batista is a great guy, but I think he's not ready to fight for the belt. He's not ready to keep the belt right now.
I'd like to see you personally fight like someone like Corey Sandhagen. I think that would be a nice
Hmm.
matchup.
Listen, Hagen. These are great guys as well. I'd like so much to fight. I want to fight against anyone the guys who have on the top in the ranking.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
The
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And
Okay,
how
and
is training going? Like, when do you expect to fight next? Would you say like in the new year, like in 2025?
On February, I think on February in Saudi Arabia against Said Nurmagomedov because
Mm,
I saw in some social media the photo there's a me against him, so I
mm,
think this fight will happen.
nice. That'd be a good one.
and
I'm not
and
excited for this fight, but I always wanted to fight in a rush, guys, because we, like a Brazilian,
Yeah,
some Brazilian guys have scared to fight against a Russian guys because his style, and I'm not scared of nobody. So I want to fight against a Russian to prove to myself and to prove to my people that we
right.
can do that, and I won't do that.
You can defeat the chain wrestling and the Dagestani kind of style. I agree with that. I think you guys could. And you just need more like confidence and folks like you, right, to really prove that point.
Yes, I approve that. I approve that for sure.
Hmm.
And then when I fight against these guys on February, I will ask to fight against Umar Nurmagomedov for sure. I will defeat him as well.
Can't wait.
maybe we'll if anyone has anything to finish up, that's fine. We'll let you get going, but I just wanted to see if you were watching the fights this weekend, tomorrow night.
John Jones in against Miocic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, man, I think John Jones is gonna win again. He's the best ever. Danny White loves him.
Maybe the better question is, will he fight Aspinall or Piera?
uh, if you, I think for John Jones, the Trumbo fight gonna be against Aspinall because against Pereira gonna be easy fight.
Yeah. Interim champ, you have to give it to Tom, right? And then after maybe Alex can
But
come in.
John Jones don't wanna fight against Aspinall because in his mind, I think a little bit he have a scare about Aspinall.
Yes. You're right. You're right. He's
It's a
younger.
bad matchup. It's a
It's a
bad
bad
matchup.
match. Yep. I agree. I agree. Whereas like he fights Piera, he could just go for wrestling and takedowns, right? Because Alex is
Pereira is an
kickbox.
easy fighter. I think when Pereira's opponent is gonna fight against him, he get it inside the cage with scared about something. So he doesn't put his game plan because he's scared. His mind broken him. But
Mm,
I guess John Jones is totally different. John Jones will keep his distance, a good elbows, a good kicks on the knee, and John Jones is really able to put Pereira on the ground and defeat in the first round by submission,
yeah.
like he did against Sirigani.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
Um,
and and maybe one added question there, not tomorrow, but tonight, Mike Tyson
Mike
and
Tyson, no, no, no. Mike Tyson.
yeah,
For
Nice.
me, Mike Tyson forever. I
yeah,
know he's an old guy. He will fight against a Jake Paul. Is a really young guy. Man, I don't want to believe it that Mike Tyson gonna lose this fight. I don't want to believe that.
same, same.
No.
Really hope
But
he wins. First round
if
knockout.
I
Let's
have to
go.
put some money,
Yeah.
I put in Jake Paul for sure.
Yeah.
But lose.
Yeah.
But I hope
Younger.
Mike Tyson win, and I think hope Mike Tyson gonna win.
Good. Yeah. It
if
hopefully
we
is
put
exciting. Yeah.
if we put some money on it to right where your hat is that where we're looking to do it?
Is that your sponsor?
Mr. Jackson, my sponsorship.
Nice.
Yeah.
Of course, I put some money here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
on John Jones, Mike Tyson, Charles Oliveira.
Charlie
Ah,
Olives. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
big fight tomorrow for him too.
Little
yes, I'm thinking this
three
week I'm
fight
gonna
parlay.
get a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meet you at
Yeah.
the cashier. Let's get ahead of that book.
All right,
Love it.
Lock Dog. We appreciate your time. Honestly, it's more
Thank you.
it's more just very appreciative of your time and being here and taking it away from your everyday life. So thank you so much for coming on again. And that English, I'm telling you, it's coming a long way. It's coming a long
I
way.
mean, yeah, my English is not so good, man. Maybe I made some mistakes, but I'm learning every day. I'm listening music, I watching movies, but it's really hard to me. But I'm getting by. I'm getting by. I'll
You're
be
doing
better.
well. You're doing well.
Fantastic.
Very
Thank you
good.
so much.
Yeah.
And can't wait to see that fight announcement and see your next fight.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank
No
you, Lock
problem.
Dog.
Take care.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Bye bye. Okay. What a great guest of the pod. He's a repeat visitor here, and yeah, just on an unreal trajectory, climbing the ranks and just making a name for himself. Love to see the energy, love to see just the enthusiasm, and spending time with the Hooks In crew doesn't hurt either.
No, it doesn't.
Well, let's switch gears to yeah, I guess a really kind of big card, I would say, in terms of the headline fight. Rest of the undercard is, decent, but we'll definitely spend some time breaking things down. Let's get ahead of that book. Let's meet you at the cashier tomorrow night, UFC 309, happening in MSG, which is, likely one of the best venues on the planet Earth. So that'll be fun to see. Um, did you guys have any particular undercard fights to highlight, or did you want to jump right into the main card?
For me, I just have the top three fights. So, Zoni, you jump in there if you got anything on the undercard or anything below that.
Yeah, there's a couple fights, but in terms of like the betting, I honestly haven't looked at it too deeply. Obviously, like I'd like to see that the Weidman fight could be Eric Anders' last fight as well. He was talking about that. So, um, in terms of the betting, though, I don't have a ton. The Jim Miller Damon Jackson fight is really interesting to me as well. And then one of my favorite newer UFC guys, younger guys, is David Onama. Really exciting guy at featherweight. So some fights to check out in terms of betting. Don't have anything right now.
Okay. I'm going to touch on one prelim and then we'll just jump right into the main card. And that is Tybura versus Jinez. So for folks who don't know, obviously Tybura has been a bit of a veteran here. In my opinion, more of a gatekeeper now than anything here in the UFC. And Jinez is a young guy. He's 8-0. He's a striker, kickboxer. I think is really being slept on here. He's an underdog. And I don't know, with the year difference, he's 6 years younger than Tybura. He's got a reach advantage, he's taller, and he's just gonna frankly be much quicker and much better on the feet. So I'm really liking him on the money line. You could add him to, a parlay play just to get some accelerated, multipliers there. But even as a standalone with that plus value, could be a nice one to circle on the prelim before we get into the main card. Um, so with that said, we'll slide right in to the main card. The first one here I've got on Tapology is Mauricio Ruffy versus James Lyontop. Zoni, what's your thoughts on that one? And do you have any leans?
The only leans are just with regards to the weigh-ins. Lon Top missed weight, and now it's a 165 catch weight. And that always makes me weary. They always say like either it could be an injury or just like out of shape or didn't cut properly. So in terms of like the betting, that always plays into it. Lon Top right now is a plus 600 underdog, and he didn't make weight. So
Yeah.
my guess would be it's going to be an earlier finish. I'm just taking a look here. I'd probably have to go with the under 1.5 rounds, Ruffy by KO or TKO. That's plus 175 right now. I really like that value. I don't see anybody that's missing weight and coming in, and now it's a catch weight going those 3 rounds. Like you almost have to do something, and that's likely going to Lon Top's going to be exposing himself. So I like the plus 175 for Ruffy on a TKO finish.
Yeah, I could see him finishing. I'm trying to see if there's actually a boost by KO, TKO under 1.5 rounds. Yeah, plus 175. I like that.
But that's probably what I'd lean.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, right? To miss weight. Like Lon Top just fought 2 months ago, lost by split decision. maybe he had an injury from that fight that wasn't disclosed and then something threw him off for his training. But that's a quick turnaround, right? You generally
Yeah.
don't see guys like 2 months, especially UFC, unless they're a late replacement or something. So yeah, an interesting one. Should be lopsided for Ruffy, but we'll keep things moving. Next one up is Karine Silva versus Viviane Araújo. Um, yeah, not sure if you have any strong opinions on this one or any guidance.
Yeah, I like Karine Silva. I watched her fight a few times. Really, really talented on the feet. Um, and sorry, I'm just looking at some of the. No, sorry. She's more of the grappler. I'm thinking of different Silva. So she's favored Karine Silva, so I'm not going to offer any betting lines here, but
Yeah,
um,
standalone, you're right. The money line just isn't there at minus 275, but I am kind of liking her via decision. I could see this one being a competitive fight, even like a 29-28. But I do think it goes to the judges' scorecard. So I'm liking that plus 105 for Silva to get her hand
yeah.
raised. Um, right on. So Z-Ball's got his analysis now because we've got three fights left. So this is a big one. It's another, in my opinion, gatekeeper versus young prospect up and comer. Bo Nickel, undefeated 6-0 versus Paul Craig's 17-8, submission specialist. Kind of had a rough go. He's coming off two losses. Z-Ball, break this one down for us, please.
Yeah, for this one, fairly short analysis in general, since I have Bo Nickel winning via sprawl and brawl. Basically, I advise all fighters do not fight Paul Craig in his guard. Although he is 17-8, has been knocked out by many fighters. Do not let his losses deceive you. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu fighters, probably from middleweight to heavyweight right now. He's very dangerous in his guard, very good triangles and arm bars. But Paul Craig, he doesn't have a great chin. So Bo doesn't need to go to the ground. He's not going to clinch with him since Paul will pull guard in those situations. Blitzing Paul by punches is the best way to knock him out, I think, as we've seen actually in previous fights as well. I have, like I said, Bo Nickel knocking him out by keeping it standing. No way Paul Craig is taking Bo Nickel down. If he does, then the hype is truly not real. But so I have Bo Nickel first round finish minus 115, him by KO/TKO first round as well, specifically is a plus 175. I don't see him submitting or going for a submission on Paul Craig. Probably not, risking that any type of jujitsu moves with Paul Craig. But yeah, so I'm liking the value there at KO/TKO first round plus 175 as well. What are you boys looking at for this one?
Yeah, Zoni,
Yeah,
I'll follow you.
Yeah, I couldn't be more locked in on what you're saying. I know that Nickel, what anyone ever talks about is just obviously the wrestling and the submissions, but I really think he has something to prove, and there's no better guy to do it against than Paul Gregg. I love the boost that's up there. Method of victory: Bo Nickel by KO, TKO under 1.5 rounds. Plus, he has to get the most significant strikes, which I think he will. Love that boost at plus 260. I'm locked in on that.
Nice. Yeah, same. I was actually going to call that one out. I do have a
Sorry.
weird feeling, though, it could be a club and sub, only because Bo Nickel has really good offensive wrestling, as we know. That's kind of his trademark. But I could see that happening, and then like Craig giving up his back to try to get out of it, and then he just throws in a crazy choke of some sort. So that's like my only like fear.
Fear.
I don't see
Yeah.
decision. I don't see Craig like submitting him or really winning at all. Uh,
No.
so just maybe you hedge a little bit. You go on the KO finish and then you sprinkle maybe like a half unit on that sub, which I think has some hidden value there. It's plus 187 Bo Nickel by sub. So yeah, just adding a different kind of viewpoint on that one. But let's go into the one we talked a little bit with Lockdog on, and that's Charlie Olives, Michael Chandler. Charlie Olives, one of the most impressive lightweights, 34-10, Chandler 23-8. Yeah, Z-Balls, you start us off here.
Yeah, so okay, not a fight I'm super confident in one way or the other in terms of the winner here, but to Oliveira, he's a moderate favorite at minus 250 since he did beat Chandler in their last fight and has only gotten better since, right? And has Chandler shown much improvement or that much improvement compared to Oliveira in that time? Well, he could, but some of his fights, he didn't really show a high fight IQ. If he had a bit more composure with his fighting style, not expending his energy so much early on, I think he can, beat some of these top fighters in his division. But he didn't always put on a fight, or sorry, he didn't always put on a show for the fans every fight like he used to, which is great. We all thank him for that now in the UFC. But for him to win, his best chances is to stay a bit more technical here. Because, like I said, he could beat these type top guys if he does that. Looking at his look at his fight against Dan Hooker, right? He has never fought that well in the UFC. That was probably his best technical performance we've ever seen from Michael Chandler when he knocked out Dan Hooker. He didn't blast combos randomly, right? He conditioned Hooker for those low body shots, then made an entry that looked the same, but went upstairs with a left hook. So night for Dan Hooker and a flawless victory there. Then he got thrust into that title fight immediately with Charles Oliveira. Felt he needed to put on a show from then on out, and it worked, right? He got the fight with Conor McGregor, but unfortunately that never happened completely. Not his fault, but anyways, moving on. Oliveira's boxing and head movement has improved a little bit, or quite a bit actually, since his fight against Chandler. He isn't as much of a statue standing in the pocket, willing to trade shots anymore. Chandler's style needs to be sprawl and brawl here, unless you can drop him and finish with strikes. He shouldn't be going to the ground with Charles unless that happens. They both don't like to back up. They both are very heavy pressure fighters, two driving forces that only know how to move forward. So I see this ending a bit earlier on. I'm leaning towards Oliveira winning by submission in the second round. Quarter unit on Olive second round plus 375, but I cannot fault anyone taking Chandler at plus 200 or him by KO or TKO at plus 375. Since as I said at the very beginning, I do see this fight a bit more 50-50. So Chandler does look to have some decent value to exploit there. Chandler second round plus 1,000 will be my long shot pick as well. But what are you boys looking at for this one?
Yeah. Sony?
Yeah, I was watching the countdown last night, and Chandler did speak about everything you're saying right there. And it's one thing to say it, one thing to do it, but his idea is to drag it out longer, to be more technical, to be smarter, and because he knows that this is probably the number one contender fight, that he's that much closer to getting another title shot, that he can't just go crazy. He saw what happened before against Oliveira. So I do think it goes a little longer. I just have a couple of long shots here. I do like the boost of over 2.5 rounds, 75 strikes each. I think it could get into the third or fourth round. So that's plus 700. But I also do think Oliveira finishes with him a choke, finishes him with a choke later on in the fight. I'm going to go with fourth round submission at plus 2,200 for Oliveira as just a crazy long shot.
I like that. Living risky. Yeah, I agree with you guys both. I think Olives gets the job done. I guess it's a 5 round fight because it's co-main, right?
Yeah.
So that does tell me they are going to be a little more cautious in the first round, right? If it's 3 rounds, I think Chandler just comes out of the gate and just goes crazy like he normally does. But yeah, I could see this being like a late round finish or sub by Charlie Olives, or I could see it being a unanimous decision. So I think I'm going to sprinkle on both of those. I do like that boost though with the over 2.5 rounds. Um,
And just to jump in there quickly, so the
yeah,
over 1.5 is minus 120. So it's basically it's an exact pick 'em for 1.5 over
right.
under. That's both minus 120. You guys just convinced me a little bit more. I was on the fence there, not willing to go on the over because these guys are such explosive, exciting fighters. But now I think that's a good lean now for one unit over 1.5. Again, that doesn't mean just the start of the second round, everyone. That means halfway through the second round. That being said, I still think that gets there. Obviously, the second round submission can still happen at the end for my original pick to work as well. But yeah, I do see this going a little bit over.
Yeah, like it makes sense what Zone said about Chandler being smarter. I feel he always thought coming from Bellator, he had to make a name for himself. So he was just
Yeah.
like hyper aggressive and frankly had no defense. He was just getting lit up, right?
Yeah.
Trying
Now
to make
he's,
his name even
yeah, and I think
more
he's has
popular.
established it. So now he's like, well, I need wins in the win column, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
I could be the most exciting fighter. If I'm losing, that doesn't do anything.
It doesn't get him
Exactly.
to the belt, right? And
That's right.
he
That's right.
wants to see us at the top, as he says, right?
Yeah,
So
he's
if you want to get
38.
there, then
He's turning
gotta
39
win.
soon, right? He's got a closing window. Um, this odd does not make sense to me. Charlie Olives is plus 1200 by decision, whereas Chandler's only plus 1100. It's kind of strange because usually the favorite's going to be less, but I guess they're just saying probability wise, Charlie Olives will likely sub him. I might throw a little bit on that plus 1200, 13 to 1 odds. Sign me up for
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
We got 3 minutes left, so let's make sure we spend time on the main event. It's the legend Bones Jones, 27-1 versus Stipe Miocic, 20-4 for the heavyweight championship of the world. Z-Balls, kick us off.
Yeah, I'll go quickly here. So both a bit long in the tooth, as they say in their careers at this point. Stipe, especially at 42 years old, although Jones not much younger at 37. Jones doesn't look to be in his prime anymore, in my opinion. In his last fight, he looked much slower. But that is a give it going up to the heavyweight division. But striking didn't look as good. But also, that being said, he was fighting Cyril Gahn, so one of the best heavyweight strikers of all time, probably. So making Jones look a little bit slow there is possible. If they were both in their prime, I would say this would be an amazing fight. I could see how Stipe could beat John Jones at his best, but I could also see John Jones beating Stipe at his best. Looks like Jones has been losing weight, though, preparing for a smaller and faster heavyweight, with that losing a bit of power and strength. So I could see this fight going a few more rounds with this, both of them preparing for a smaller, faster fighter. Although Miocic, not in his prime anymore, still a savvy veteran, still has the skills he's used for many years. Jones isn't exactly a knockout artist, though, at least not usually. So I think it's going to end around the third roundish here. Jones finishing Miocic. Jones is going to respect Stipe a little bit in the first round, look to play with his food for most of the first round. So excellent chance. I think Jones wins this fight. His movement and wrestling will be too fast for Stipe. Obviously, not much value on Jones. Straight money line at minus 600, but Jones third round plus 600 quarter unit on that for me. I'm liking the over 1.5 rounds at minus 160 for 1.5 units. I'm also interested in double chance, combining Jones submission plus 100. 9 of his last 10 fights finished in either sub or decision. Obviously, Stipe is much different matchup. He's a bit chinny at this age. A risk for Jones to be knocking him out, but I could also see him doing a standing guillotine, getting him to the ground, finishing him there. So finally, long shot, slight hedge. I'm going Stipe first round plus 1600. Put a little eighth unit on that just in case absolutely everything I said goes completely wrong. But I think we see Jones here finishing it with a few rounds into the fight.
It's only 30 seconds. All you, bud. Bring us home.
Yeah, obviously Jones, there's a lot to prove here, but Stipe's been on the shelf a little bit. I'm going to go with Jones finishing because he's the smartest fighter that's ever fought with the 12-6 elbows that just became legal.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's gonna slice them up real nice and paint the town red. So I'm going with Bones Jones. You kind of have to at this point. I think the most interesting thing of this is what happens next, right? We were talking with Lockdog. Is it Aspinall? Is it Alex Pereira? Time will tell. But that one's going to be something to look for next year. Let's get it, boys.